All right, this is your Chapter 7 kit. You are going to have an entire course on sexuality and development. It's called Human Sexuality. Some of you will be taking it this fall, so you take it later on. This will be a true quick hit. We'll go into a lot more detail on all of these things in that class. Okay, but for this class, things I want you to pay close attention to is sexual identity, be able to define what sexual identity is, know the different orientations, homosexuals, heterosexuals, bisexuals, asexuals, and other terms associated with that, heterosexism, homophobia, those types of things. So be able to talk about those different orientations, understand the difference between transsexuals, intersexuals, and transvestites. What are those? Be able to talk about what determines orientation. I want you to know what sexual scripts are, how we are all specifying our own norms for acceptable and unacceptable sexual behavior, and what we will not do with our sexual partners, what are the boundaries, those types of things. Be able to define sexual self-efficacy and sexual knowledge. What do we know? How confident are we in making decisions about behavior? Kind of know what society tells us about sexual scripts through advertising. Be able to talk about why we have sex, why do we have sex for the first time, especially what are different reasonings. There's developmental, interpersonal, situational, and structural different factors or reasons for why people have sex initially. Why do we have casual sex? Why do we have sex in committed relationships? Be able to talk about why we have sex in the first place. Know that we are influenced in our sexual behavior by several different groups: our parents, our peers, our religion, our schools, and the list can go on. But also look at the chart 7.2, table 7.2, and think about your own experience with talking to your parents about sex, and recognize that many parents choose not to talk to their children about sex and why that might be. Media and pop culture influence us, and like I said, school programs. Think about your own sex ed programs and what they may or may not have taught you about sex. Begin to understand that sexual behavior goes far beyond the act of sexual intercourse. You can start with flirting. That the pickup line is sexual behavior, right? So in the last episode, I told you, episode, I'm like I'm a TV show. In the last video on Chapter 6, Quickhits, I said, send me your best break phrase. Well, if you got a great pickup line, feel free to send me that too. Those always make me laugh as well. Sexual behaviors can be anything from that initial flirt, whether it's the you notice somebody across the way and you give them that, and then you turn back, that's still a sexual behavior, right? To kissing, holding hands, to fantasy, to more of what we traditionally think about with sexual behavior, intercourse, and other types of sex. So be able to talk about those and what those are, be able to define different sexual behaviors. Again, be able to talk about sexual orientation in attraction and behaviors as far as what it means to be lesbian or gay or bisexual, what it means to be transgender, and even what you think about what gay rights are, what they should be. Be able to briefly talk about sexuality across the lifespan, um, different things like abstinence and sex in early adolescence, having a culture of sexually experienced teens, and then moving into our 20s and uh, sex as a single adult versus sex as a married adult, and then sex late in life as well. I'll be able to briefly talk about that, know what sexual infidelity is, and be able to give some reasons why people are unfaithful to each other. And as far as the STIs go, sexually transmitted infections or diseases, I don't want you to spend a lot of time trying to figure out what all the different STIs are. You might just focus on how people spread STIs through sexual activity and drug use, and um, think about why we might think about why we are um, typically number one or two in the world in STI rates. Why are they rising? Uh, what could be the cause of that? Um, and that's pretty much it. That's your sexuality, chapter 7, quick hit. Study those things, be able to answer those questions, and you should be good to go.